and welcome to the show. Today we are joined by Nick Lee, who is the Director of Pires Investments, and Barry Downs, who is the Managing Partner at Sure Valley Ventures. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Catherine, for having us on your show.
Thanks, Catherine.
Nick, could you start by giving us an overview of Pires Investments and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so Pires Investments is it's an investment company listed on AIM. It originally was sort of focused on the natural resources space and investing there. But the middle of last year, we decided that we wanted to move into the technology sector. And so, because we think that's a very exciting sector to be in. And so we ended up deciding to, rather than make one or two investments, and having been introduced to Barry by some mutual friends, we decided to actually make an investment into a fund, Sure Valley Ventures, which has the benefit of already having a portfolio of 10 very exciting high growth tech companies, very much focused on the software technology space. So, we would like to describe ourselves as really a company investing in next generation technology. So that really covers things like augmented and virtual reality, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. So we made that investment around September of last year. And since then, the investment has gone incredibly well. Shortly after making that investment, we managed, one of the portfolio companies was sold at some 500% uplift on the level at which the Sure Valley Ventures had actually invested. And really, over the period from September to now, a number of the companies have shown significant increases in their valuation. So, we're really very excited with how things have gone so far.
Thank you, Nick. And Barry, could you tell us a little bit more about some of these technology companies that you're invested in?
Sure, Catherine, I'd be delighted to. So as Nick mentioned, we invest in a number of core areas. Augmented reality and virtual reality is one of those areas. Together, they're under the title of immersive technologies. We also invest in the Internet of Things and also artificial intelligence companies as well. And there's an emerging area that we're investing in, which is the kind of overlap of the Internet of Things and AI and security. And we have some great companies that, as Nick mentioned, that are really high growth and really accelerating their development very quickly after we invested in them. So let me give you some quick examples. So we invested in, when we first started, we invested in a company called Immersive VR Education, which is really bringing education through virtual reality to everybody to use. And we, about a year after investing in that company, we IPO'd the company on AIM and also Euronext. And the company has gone on and most recently, just a couple of weeks ago, announced a major investment by HTC, which is a Taiwanese giant company involved in electronics, software, and also virtual reality space. And they're now rolling out their Engage platform, which is a major virtual reality education platform across China with HTC and across the world as well. Another good example of a company in the AR and VR space would be VividQ, which is an amazing science fiction style Cambridge-based company. And that company does what's called holographic display. Another word for that is displaying augmented reality. And so one way to think about this is it'll allow us to see holograms in the real world through, for example, the glasses I have on, or also through heads-up displays in cars. And that company really performing incredibly well, has signed up an amazing number of contracts across the world. And, this science fiction vision of, you might have seen, let's say in Star Wars, Princess Leia as a hologram, or if you look at any of the Iron Man movies, that science fiction vision is now becoming reality through VividQ. Another good example in this space would be Admix. And this is a company, actually was just in TechCrunch today. They announced their Series A. which we were involved in the seed round and the early round in the company. And we followed on at Series A. And what that company does is it makes it really, really easy for games publishers and augmented reality and virtual reality companies to position unobtrusive advertising in game. And the great thing about the company is it's fully programmatic, which is there's no humans involved. They sign up companies on one hand and they sign up advertisers on the other hand, and then their assistant takes care of the rest. So the company is really accelerating and its metrics are going exponentially at the moment. I think some other examples in the AI space would be Get Visibility, which is a company that Pires invested in directly, and Sure Valley invested also. And that's a company that's using AI at scale to solve a major enterprise problem across the world. And the problem is this, that it's really security around unstructured data. So if you think about a typical enterprise, about 20% of their data on average is in databases, sometimes less actually. The rest of it is in unstructured data, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, etc., etc. And whilst there's been a lot of work in securing databases, there's really hasn't been a huge amount of work in securing unstructured data. And of course, with regulations like GDPR in Europe, or some of the more recent regulations like HIPAA in the US, or also new regulations from the Department of Defense in the US, organizations now really have to get control of their unstructured data. And if you think about a typical organization, they might have millions of documents that they need to understand what's inside those documents. Do they have payment card information or personally identifiable information in those documents? And if so, they need to have security policies and they need to have them locked down. Well, what Get Visibility does is it uses AI at scale to find, read, analyze all of those documents, categorize them, and then enable them to be secured. And we couldn't be more proud of that investment. It's a fantastically experienced team, and they've been doing tremendously well since we invested in the company. Maybe if I touch on just two others, just to give you more of a flavor, we have a company that's at the intersection of the Internet of Things, AI, and security, and it's called Novalia. And this is a great story behind this. Female founder, Anita Finnegan, did her PhD in cybersecurity for medical devices. Things like connected pacemakers, connected insulin pumps. And what she found was that these things really aren't secure. And after her PhD, she actually built a system to secure medical devices and to help manufacturers secure them and then monitor them in real time for vulnerabilities. And then she wrote, if you like, the book on how you do this, which was picked up IEEE specifications, which were picked up by the authorities in China and then in the US, the FDA. And now or medical device companies are required to lock down their medical devices before they're sold, and then protect them on a regular basis. And Anita's company, Novalia, has the leading platform on how you do that. And the reason it's so important to do that is, let's say if somebody has a connected pacemaker, a hacker trying to hack into that device can actually kill the patient. Now, so obviously the severity of this is terrible, really, But that's typically not what they're trying to do. Typically, they're trying to get into the hospital system that the device is connected to, and put ransomware or bring down the network, which of course is catastrophic for the hospital system. And you may remember a number of years ago, significant problems with the networks in the NHS and caused chaos. Well, what Novalia and what Anita Finnegan do is they help companies prevent that type of scenario. So, a company that's doing incredibly well, but also this is a really important thing in the world. Final company I'll mention is Buymie, which there was an announcement out this week. And what Buymie does, which again another incredibly important service, particularly in this COVID-19 emergency that we're in right now. Buymie provides a platform and a service to do same day, often within 1 hour, delivery of groceries to the home. And the reason they can do it within 1 hour is through this really sophisticated artificial intelligence platform. And the announcement, I think Nick might talk a little bit more about this, but the announcement was really an announcement of the Series A round, which we participated in, that is helping the company expand from Bristol throughout the rest of the UK. And then actually, maybe I might just, if I have time, touch on one more, which is Artematics. Nick mentioned that shortly after investing in Sure Valley, we returned a lot of the capital that was invested. And that was through the sale of a company called Artematics to Unity. And Unity is a Silicon Valley giant in the video game space. And what Artematics did was use artificial intelligence to enable artists to make it easier to build video games and actually reduce their workload, enabling those video games to be brought to market much more quickly and much more cheaply. Now, when you think about a significant video game could cost $300 to $600 million to produce. If you can have a significant impact on that, then that's making artists' lives better, but also having a real serious bottom line impact. And that's why that company was sold to Unity. And very quickly, we invested in 2018, and 14 months later, at the end of 2019, we concluded the deal with Unity. So, really exciting set of companies. There's a whole bunch of them I haven't touched on, but hopefully that gives you a flavor. Real exciting set of companies, really breaking new ground, but super commercial, really getting out there, winning deals, building business, and producing real value in the economy as well.
Thank you, Barry, for talking us through some of your companies there. Nick, could you tell us a little bit more about the announcement that was made regarding Buymie yesterday?
Yeah, so that was talk about a company sort of in the right place at the right time. If you've ever tried to get an online grocery delivery in recent months, forget it more or less. And so, they've launched initially in Ireland, but have now expanded into the UK with this very sort of high-tech way of facilitating grocery delivery literally within an hour of ordering. And so we invested really only in April of this year. Then they raised more money at a significantly higher valuation. So in a couple of months, our investment has gone up 200%. So that's a really another very, as Barry said, a very exciting company, just in the right place at the right time.
Thank you, Nick. Yes, well, we've touched on COVID-19. How has that affected the companies in your portfolio, Barry?
Well, Catherine, the companies are actually doing really well in the COVID environment, and there's a couple of key reasons for that. If you think about it, people are at home right now, and they need grocery deliveries, for example, with Buymie. But we have, as I touched on, a number of companies in the immersive technology space. And there's one thing that's really grown during COVID, which is the immersive technology space. So people are playing more video games, they're watching more Netflix, they're getting involved in virtual reality and augmented reality technologies. So actually, by and large, whilst of course COVID is a terrible emergency, our companies have actually grown more rapidly than even we would have expected through COVID. So they're doing really, really well. And actually, we're kind of thrilled that the companies can either help out, as in Buymie, or provide needed distraction from COVID if it's companies like immersive VR education, True Education, or Wardux through gaming, for example, or AdMix, which is a shortage-based company, which is helping, helping game developers monetize their video games through advertising as well. So it's been a very busy period for us, but we couldn't be happier with how the companies are performing. I mean, they really are doing extremely well, helping out and also growing within COVID.
And we've also got, one other company in the portfolio that is actually helping everybody get back to work. A company called Wire, that's involved in the sort of the smart buildings environment, helping to manage numbers of people in buildings, capacity in rooms. So we almost sort of are covering the whole sort of range of things that you need to deal with going in and coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic.
And looking to the future, what are your plans for the business?
Well, I think really, we're very pleased with how it has gone so far. So it's really going to be very much, more of the same. So investing in more similar high growth, exciting companies, either via Shore Valley Ventures, but probably co-investing or investing independently ourselves. Because we just think this is a very exciting way for the sort of typical retail public market investor to get exposure to this type of portfolio of companies when ordinarily that wouldn't be possible. So it is a great way for everybody to get exposure to this sort of company.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Barry, for joining us today. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but do join us again for more.